Hi everyone, and thanks very much for joining me. We started looking at Margaret Thatcher. We understand how she's won the 1979 general election, and we've started looking at some of the challenges she faces within the party, particularly when she's formed her cabinet and this issue of the wets and the dries. The wets being people who are not supportive of Margaret Thatcher's policies. However, she needs to keep them within the cabinet. She isn't very strong. She isn't in a strong position at that point. And the Dries, who are very pro Margaret Thatcher, are very supportive of her, the changes she wants to bring in. We now need to move on. We now need to look at the opposition to Margaret Thatcher during this same period. And we need to look at how effective that is or how ineffective it is. So, using the textbook, we're going to be looking at pages 110 to 114. You need to use the textbook in conjunction with this video, and you need to do some wider reading as well. Please don't presume everything you're going to need to know is within this video. It's not. You've got to get out there, you've got to do that wider reading as well. This gives you the bare basics, gives you a bit of a structure for your thinking, then you need to build on that. So I'm going to give you a little bit of something to think about first. And in 1981, Margaret Thatcher reshuffles her cabinet. That essentially means some people leave, they decide they want to go, some people are sacked, and new people are brought in. And it's known as a cabinet reshuffle. And Thatcher does one in 1981, and one of her ministers loses their job, Sir Ian Gilmore. Now, when he's left, he said that Thatcher is steering the ship of the state straight onto the rocks. Now, what does that tell you about the support Thatcher's got within her own cabinet and the government? It's not really a great thing to be saying. He's basically saying Margaret Thatcher's going to crash the economy. She's going to crash the country, the state, onto the rocks. It's going to be a shipwreck. This is going to be terrible. So clearly Margaret Thatcher hasn't got complete support within her own party. 1981 again. We've got inner city riots breaking out now in Manchester, Toxteth, which is a region of Liverpool, and Brixton, which is in London. Clearly people are not happy with the economic situation. There's increased unemployment, and you can see a newspaper headline here from The Sun to think this is England. People are becoming more and more frustrated. So what does that tell you about the support Margaret Thatcher has across society, across the country? Do you think these people who are rioting would be supportive of Margaret Thatcher? Do you think they'd say, "You're doing a good job, well done"? I'm also showing you voter intentions all the way through 1980 through the end of 1981. And this is when newspapers and other organisations will pay polling companies to ask members of the public, who would you vote for if there is a general election today? And you can see over time how this changes. So have a look at the graph that you've got in front of you now. And you can see that the Conservative Party in a blue line are consistently below Labour. So if there was an election, people are saying, I would vote Labour, I would not vote for the Conservative Party. So what does that tell you about the support Margaret Thatcher has across the electorate, those people that are allowed to vote? Is she popular or is she not popular? And I think it's fairly clear if we look at all three of those examples. Margaret Thatcher has got a number of challenges. She's not a popular leader at this point. So why did this happen? The 1979 general election, the Conservatives win 43.9% of the vote, 339 seats. It's a clear win for the Conservatives. And based on the fact that we've seen Margaret Thatcher isn't popular, when it comes to the next election, 1983, Margaret Thatcher wins with an even greater majority. She's got more seats in the House of Commons now. It is, quite simply, a Tory landslide. This is a phenomenal and perhaps unexpected win for the Conservative Party at that point, and we need to understand now why that has happened. So the whole lesson now is going to be looking at how did or why did the Conservative Party achieved the landslide that you can see the Daily Mirror is reporting the day after the election. So the first person or factor I want us to look at as to why Margaret Thatcher wins the election so convincingly is the leader of the Labour Party at the time of the election, and it's Michael Foot. He's been elected leader of the Labour Party in 1980, taking over from Jim Callaghan. What I want you to do is to now conduct some of your own research. I want you to create a short biography about Michael Foot. Who is he? What's his political point of view? If you were going to put him on a scale of centre all the way through to far left, where would you put Michael Foot? Does he remind you of anybody else that we've looked at previously? Not necessarily a leader of the Labour Party, but any prominent members of the Labour Party. And then what are the key challenges you think Michael Foot is going to be facing as he takes over leadership of the Labour Party? So I want you to press pause. I want you to go and do that research. It should take you about half an hour and then come back to the video. So after completing that research, you should be identifying that Michael Foot is on the left of the party. He's certainly not towards the centre, he's much more towards the left. And we see the Labour Party, what's described as lurched to the left after a revolt of Labour activists. So lurch, this real big swing towards the left, often happening quite dramatically. And as a result, the Labour Party adopt more radical programmes. New nationalisations, this idea of industry being owned by the state, an increase in public spending, a withdrawal from the European Economic Community, the EEC, getting rid of nuclear weapons. All of these ideas actually start to split the party because not everybody in Labour agrees with these ideas, and quite often they don't appeal to voters. So Labour policies are almost feeling like they're rooted in the past. Old-fashioned economic policy, state-led economic development. And this makes Labour unattractive to voters. Labour is also bankrupt by 1982, or effectively bankrupt. The way the Labour Party is funded is very much on members making contributions towards the party's funds and unions paying towards the party's funds, and it has cost so much to fight elections and cost so much to deal with internal issues that they're almost bankrupt. They can't afford a huge election campaign in 1983, and at that point they've got the lowest level of membership, so they can't get extra money from members. They're really going to struggle in that 1983 general election. Really good evidence of the splits and the issues within the Labour Party can be seen if we look at the Militant faction, and it's one of the biggest political controversies of British politics in the 1980s. Militant was a hard left political organisation within the Labour Party. Whilst popular within Liverpool and controlling Liverpool Council, they weren't a popular movement across the whole of the country, and they weren't popular within the Labour Party, and it divided the Labour Party. So we end up with Michael Foot trying to deal with a party which is fighting internally and running out of funds. So that's one of the reasons why Margaret Thatcher is able to win the 1983 general election. What I want you to do now, go back and look at the notes you made about Michael Foot. Any additional information you've now got from this video, I want you to add that to your notes. And I want you to try and consider what's going to happen next. If the Labour Party is starting to split, if they're starting to have problems internally, what do you think is going to happen? We're going to look at that in the next lesson, but it is something for you to consider before we move on. As always, if you've got any questions, get in touch, drop me a line. Thanks very much.